EPS is the only one that you actually have to name a folder for, so I always do EPS. Then inside here, first is always vertical, horizontal, symbol, inside each one of these. And actually, first we're just going to save these EPSs, partnerships, well-being, CMYK, continue that. Okay. Now, while those are all saving, let's go here and start making our folders. I like to label these as O1 vertical if I want the primary to be vertical, secondary to be horizontal, tertiary to be symbol, and then they have a word mark as well. Then inside vertical, I would do always full color first, single color or colors, 3 grayscale, and 04 white. Now this could be white plus color, so on and so forth, whatever. CMYK, print, RGB, digital. Now these two need to get copied into just those two. Full color, single color, grayscale are going to be in each one of these. Now in the word mark, we don't have a single color, so we only have a grayscale and a white. And then when we get to JPEGs or PDFs, they won't have white. Now that all of these folders are good to go, you're not going to do anything with them until you have your other folders made. So we have this partnership for well-being, this EPS. I put it in the design files because this is their entire, all of them on the singular artboard. It saves it no matter what. Make sure that these file names are correct. Okay, now file, export for screens. JPEG, space dash space CMYK, add scale, space dash CMYK. Now, what you labeled, I always do 4 times to make it as big as we can. You already labeled these what they are. So vertical full color, vertical grayscale, but we need a prefix, which is always the client's name, or the logo name, partnerships for well-being, space dash. Then it will say vertical dash color, vertical dash grayscale. Then it will save it and it'll have JPEG, PNG, PDF. However, if you want a suffix at the end so that it would say prefix, partnerships for well-being, dash vertical, dash full color, the suffix would go after that. And we do dash CMYK. Format allows each one of these to be in its own folder, and that is absolutely what we want. Make sure that you're on the outside logos so that all of your folders make themselves. And you say choose, export these artboards. Now, almost all your folders except for RGB have been made. Now you can go back up to EPS. We can go to JPEG, copy that in, PDF, copy that in, PNG, copy them in. In JPEG, you have white and all that, but we'll get to deleting those when we start to organize. Now, all of your CMYK logos are complete. What I like to do then is save this on my computer as an RGB file. So now we're on to the next step. We go to design files, we do RGB, we do AI. We just save it. There's nothing happening. We're not doing saving artboards yet because we need to change the document color mode to RGB. Now that doesn't always change all these colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit colors, convert to RGB. Now we need to go back in and we need to add all of our RGB colors to the CC library. RGB. Okay, now we are all set for RGB, and good thing we didn't name each one of these RGB because we would have to change all of the names of our artboards. That's why we do it in the suffix. So now that everything is truly RGB, we do Command S for save. While that's saving, we can come over here and make our folder for RGB, and we collect the same colors that we used for primary. That didn't do what I needed it to do. Let's make sure these are correct in here as well. Okay, blue, then we got pink, purple, turquoise. Now it looks like we're missing a color that we didn't happen to get. This lime green wasn't included in our RGB, which is an easy fix. We just go back up here and all your RGB or all of your CMYKs are still in here. So we would just add this to the library and add it to our color palette. Last but not least, reorganize each one of these to be primary, secondary, tertiary. And now that we have both color palettes, we select those both and go to the color palette. Now we have logo CMYK, but we do not have our RGB palette. So now we would go here. Because we are deleting these folders, I just make another folder real quick for RGB, save each artboard. Once these are ready to go, select, drag in here, make sure you're not in a random folder. There we go. Those will take a second, but I will group them in logos, RGB, collect the symbols, collect the word marks, collect the verticals, and the horizontals. Now, I may have went too quick because we're missing some of these logos. Nope, that's your all. And this needs to move to horizontal, logos, horizontal, move. Okay, now that all of our logos RGB. Now we got every single logo here, and I just group those, you don't have to. Logos. Now we got our color palette, our logos, our print assets if we need them, and our logo type so we know what the settings are for when we get to the style guide. And we're ready to do all the same steps that we did for the first one. RGB. Let's go to logos, design files. We have our RGB in there. So now we're ready for our EPS. Use your artboards. Okay. And while we're here, we can delete all of these since they're already in our CC library. We have our EPS. Then we go again, export for screens. We do not need PDF for digital, we need SVG. And now instead of changing every artboard from CMYK to RGB, we only have to change the suffix and we still have the same title. Make sure we're on the outside folder. Correct. Export artboards. And now we are 100% saved. Now that we're done with all of this, it's time to organize. The way that I have found the most help, and oh yeah, drag the single RGB. So now we have EPS, design files, and we have AI design files. Okay. Now that we have all this, I like to just go in and throw all the horizontals into horizontal, symbols into symbols, verticals into verticals, word marks into word marks. Now, you will have duplicates of white and grayscale because we saved them twice in this process. I have found personally that it is much easier to delete when I get to the sorting time, this part, than it is to change it and tick each of the items that you want. So you would just delete all of the white and grayscale logos in the RGB file. But then if somebody only opens RGB as a designer, they don't have the white in the full artboards. So I've found personally that it is easiest for me just to come in here, get my 2 1 colors, get my 2 full colors. There should only be 1 grayscale and 1 white. So we can actually just delete 2 of these. I always keep CMYK because you actually need a CMYK for grayscale, but it doesn't technically matter because it's grayscale. Then I would go in and start sorting the actual 1 colors. And then we just go in and you do the same exact thing for each one of these folders. Full color again. We delete the grayscale and white. Just be consistent. If you deleted the RGBs, then delete the RGBs throughout. If you deleted the CMYKs, delete the CMYKs throughout. Don't make it some RGBs and some CMYKs. It'll confuse the client because they're already going to be confused with all of the different things that they have to do anyways. So go through grayscale, white, and you know what? We didn't do this single color, symbol. CMYK starts with a C, so if you're sorted by name, it automatically is the first one. Word mark. There is only 1 color, and now I just realized we're going to have to change that single color folder. So don't put anything in there if you mess up. Just go to all the word marks, delete, and add word mark. Move to trash and add word mark. Move to trash and add word mark. SVG. Okay. EPS, symbol, word mark. Double click. 1 color. 1 grayscale. 1 white. Delete. Again, you can uncheck all the boxes to not export for the JPEG and PNG, and then you could go back into your RGB file and export all of them for SVG, because you still need RGB SVG files, but I've found that this is the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to do one more example with JPEG and deleting things, and then I'll end this video, because from here on out, it's really just sorting. So we got horizontal, we got our symbols, we got our verticals, and we got our word marks. And we're going to go in. We are in JPEG, so white does not exist in JPEG. We have our one colors, we have our full colors, and we delete one of the grayscales because it's duplicated, and both of the whites. Move to trash, and now we have one grayscale. Horizontal, one color, full color, one grayscale, and delete one grayscale and two whites because it's JPEG. Okay, one color, full color, one grayscale, delete white and one of the grayscales, and voila, we're almost done with two of the folders. Now we're missing a one single color with a CMYK print folder and an RGB digital folder. What we can do here is CMYK, RGB, grayscale. Oh, there it is. A little silly folder. And we don't need any of those. Okay, so pretty much now you just go through and you complete. If it's PDF, you only have CMYK, and if it's SVG, you only have RGB. That's it. That's how you do it.